Think about this. If somebody actually offered you to erase all the bad things, all the terrible things that happened to you, all the times where you had to struggle and you had to do something hard, all those nights where you didn't know if the things you want were going to come true, would you actually take it? I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I actually think that harder seasons, moments where you struggle, where you feel like you are pushing beyond your capabilities, like you are punching with someone who's heavier than you in boxing, when you are fighting with a monster that's too difficult for you to beat in a game, when you're trying to bench press more than you can. In those moments, you actually realize your true potential, but there is also something so much more important that happens. And this is because whenever you're fighting with something that is too difficult, where you feel like you don't have the same grip, you don't have the same power, you're actually building something that's very important. You're creating an asset, a thing that no one can ever take away from you. And what's so interesting is that it actually appreciates with time. The longer you have it, the more it is worth. And the returns, like how much you can get if you invest in that asset, it's infinite. And that asset that you are building, it's you. Because in the harder seasons, you aren't winning, you're losing, you're getting kicked in the face, sometimes in the stomach, or like punched, and you're just like going, but you feel like it's pain. It's like you're eating glass a little bit, right? You have to like bite on the glass, and it's painful and it hurts. But that pain, that struggle, that push, that lean in are actually what builds your character. They're actually what build your persistence. So when you think about a person that your best version of yourself, some like think about the person who's 80 years old and they've already accomplished all the goals that you've had for your life. Now, if you had to answer, does this person have strong character or weak character? Obviously, strong character. Unless you have small goals, but then like, why are you even watching this video? So obviously this person has got strong character. Now, how do you develop strong character? You develop strong character by struggle, by pain, by punching out of your weight class, by having this crushing weight upon you that you don't think you can push a lot, that you don't think you can lift. And it's just one of those misconceptions that people have got about the worst and the bad seasons. And in my opinion, the number one thing you can do is just to reframe your bad seasons, your hard seasons, the seasons where you have to push harder. They are not punishment. They are not because you've done something wrong. They are just a necessity, a stimulus that you actually need for your growth, a stimulus that you actually need to become the type of person that you want to be. Because when nothing works, you are able to develop the persistence to keep on trying when there is no hope, when there is no reaction from the universe. You have the ability to practice patience because you have to be patient in those times where you're trying, but nothing is working. You're making calls, you're trying to get customers, no one is picking up. You're posting content, no one is responding. You're trying to talk to new people and meet new friends, but they are rejecting you. In those moments, you need the persistence and you need the patience. And they also teach you a lesson that I think people who've never had a hard season can't understand. It's a lesson that you can't teach to someone. And that lesson is that you are stronger than you think you are. And you can survive more than you think you can survive. Because if somebody would have told me all the hard work that I needed to do before I started my business, before I started my self-development, self-improvement journey, I probably would have never started because there's just so many hours of mind-numbing, boring work that I had to do to be in the position where I'm at today. And if somebody actually told me that I needed to, like, this is the number of hours, I think I would have thought it was impossible. So, like, ignorance was bliss in the beginning. But I right now know the things, and I understand the things I'm capable of. I know that I can work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours without breaks. And this is something that no one can ever take away from me. What is more, it gives me confidence to make the decisions that I need to make and to take the risks that I need to take, because I know I have this skill that I've built, that I've cultivated in myself in that harder season, in that season where I was miserable, where I didn't want to get up and I didn't want to fully be alive. It's like I created this thing that will stay with me forever. I created it's like every diamond is. Do you know how diamonds are created actually? It's you have coal, huge things of coal, and they burn them. And the only thing that survives the burning is the diamond. So you raise the temperature raises in your life, and you're just burning away all the coal, right? Because it's hard. And the only thing that can survive is a diamond. And then what's beautiful is when you burn away all the coal and the hard season finishes, the diamonds stay with you forever. And like the diamonds stayed with me from my past harder seasons forever. The work ethic, the patience, the persistence, the confidence, all those things that were created in a hard season, in a time where I didn't feel like I was winning, are all the things that I like about myself the most right now. And it's also going to be true for you. Think about the times, think about the things that happened to you that were bad, that were difficult, the moments where you struggled, and think about the effects it had on you. Think about the things that enabled you to develop, and it's probably going to be the things that you are most proud about right now, the things that you like about yourself the most, right? It's the guy who was obese and fat and unattractive who goes to the gym and gets in shape and is attractive. Like that's the thing that he's going to be proud of because he knows how it feels to be obese. It's the person who goes into who starts in poverty, who doesn't have much money, and then builds from zero and builds freedom and is able to spend money, right? And that strength that they've developed in this domain, it started in a harder season. It started in a harder time, a time where they didn't feel like they could handle it fully, like they weren't strong enough to handle it. They didn't know they were strong enough to handle it, but they were, and you are right now. Whatever you might be going through, you might be going through a hard time with health. You might have some issues there. You might be going through a time of hard financial struggle. You don't have much money. Relationship crisis, a broken heart, somebody you loved wasn't the person that you imagined them to be. You might be going through a struggle of happiness and mindset. You might be miserable, depressed. You don't feel like life is worth it. You don't feel like all of this makes sense for you. What I want you to do is think about the times in the past where you had a harder season and think about the result. Think about the things that happened because of that harder season. And just realize that whatever you're going through right now is going to have the same outcome, maybe even a better outcome, because it's harder. And the harder the season, the bigger the reward. The harder the level, the more experience you get in a game, right? The like the heavier the weight in the gym, the bigger muscles you grow. So the difficulty is what gives you the bigger results. The harder the thing you are going through right now, the better it will get in the future. And it can only get better if you are at the rock bottom right now, if you're at a place where you don't feel like you can do this. And the things in the future, they, like, you looking back in 10 years on this moment, you will view this as the most important moment you've went through. But you can only do that by surviving, by not giving up, by trying a little bit longer, by holding on. Even if you're holding on with one finger, you just keep holding on, because eventually your arm will get stronger and you'll be able to pull yourself out of this situation. No one is going to come and save you. It's going to be you. You will just slowly develop the necessary capabilities, discipline, skills, courage to take yourself out of this cave that you are in right now. And the harder the season also, like, think about movies. The better the villain, the bigger the villain, the more evil the evil guy is, the bad guy is, the bigger the hero, right? When you watch Dark Knight with Christian Bale, Batman, right? The only thing that made this movie powerful was the Joker. The Joker was this twisted guy, and he was such an evil person that Batman had to become a much bigger hero than he was because of him. And this is the yin and yang of life. You don't get people who are extremely good who didn't go through a very difficult time in their life. And just taking that mindset of, this is necessary, this is the stimuli, this is the stimulus I need to grow, this is the thing that will launch me to the next level, this, whatever I'm going through, this is exactly what I needed to look back on myself, to go into myself and try to make a different version of myself that can handle things like that in the future. And not only that, but also the mindset of, maybe I am not winning right now, maybe you are not winning right now, but you are creating yourself. You are building the character that your future self will be able to rely on in harder times. And trust me, in the future, because you will be better, the harder times will be even harder. So you actually need to take that mindset of, this is building me, this is building my resilience, this is building my persistence, this is building my patience. And by that, every day that you are going through in this harder season is a moment where you can look back and think about building like a brick wall, right? You're putting brick by brick, brick by brick. And if you look at the wall every day, like one brick just doesn't look like a lot, right? But you put in 300 bricks and all of a sudden you have this huge wall, or 6,000 or whatever the amount of bricks is, right? Some harder seasons are longer, and you also need to function in those. You also need to learn how to deal with the monotony, how to deal with the hopelessness. And the most difficult part is that you don't know whether this will work. You don't know whether all the things you are doing will pay off. The investments that you are making, investments of time, investments of energy, investments of even emotions that you're like hope that you are putting, like you don't know if this is going to work. But it's something that every single person who's trying feels. You're not alone. This is normal. Just it's like price of admission for doing big things is wondering whether they will work out. It's wondering whether you'll have anything from them. So, but what I want to tell you is, you will have something. And this comes back to the point of this video. Because even if you fail, even if you waste all the time, all the money, all the emotions and energy into this project, what are you left with? You're left with yourself and whatever you've learned from that thing. So in a way, you can never lose because you're always building yourself. Victory or defeat, it's teaching you something. It's creating something in you. It's bringing out certain things that maybe weren't necessary in a past season, right? So when you look at it from that perspective, you're actually never losing. You're just going through a harder season. And if you're going through a harder season, it's actually the best opportunity you've got to work on the number one thing that matters the most, which is yourself. I want to also tell you, as someone who also came from a rougher background, and I remember feeling resentful for not having the things that I wanted to have when I was younger, when I was a teenager, and looking at my peers whose parents were successful and they were able to give them those things. And I looked at them and I felt resentful. I felt jealous. I felt like this was unfair. But at some point, I realized that in a way, they don't have what I have. So I didn't have the materials. I didn't have the like parents bought their son a car, or parents sponsored their daughter a holiday or something. I didn't have that. But what I did have that they didn't have is the drive and ambition to go and get whatever I wanted from life. And if you feel like you've been treated unfair with life, you're right. You're probably right. It's totally unfair. The thing is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to make from it? Like you can be like an alchemist. Everything is possible. So you are able to do. And I remember I gave this. I was talking to a friend, and he also came from a similar background. He said, oh, look, and we had a different friend, and his parents were very rich, and he said, look at this guy. He can go on holiday with his girlfriend, and his parents pay for this. And I remember telling this friend, yes, but like we can't control this. But I gave him a different example. I said to him that think about two people that are thrown into a swimming pool. And one person knows that there is a coach that will rescue them and jump in if something happens. And the other person knows that they are alone and they have nobody that they can rely on. And if they don't swim well, they will drown. And I asked my friend, who do you think will swim harder? Who do you think will become a better swimmer in the process? The guy who doesn't have like someone who can rescue him, of course he's going to go stronger, because this is do or die, right? If you don't do this, this is over. So this was my way of reframing it when I was younger, of looking at my harder position as an advantage that I have over all the people who had a easier position. And it actually, like with years, this was such a great mindset that I had back there, and I still have this still today, because right now I'm completely out of this situation, but this mindset stayed with me. So what I want to leave you with, just closing that loop, is a quote from John D. Rockefeller, the first billionaire, one of the richest men ever. And he had this thing where he also came from a very poor background. Read into him, he's a wonderful guy, but well, maybe not wonderful guy. He's a little bit controversial too, but for business, for mindset, read into it. Learn, study. I will probably make a full video on Rockefeller in the future, but he had this one thing where he said, oh, how blessed are the young men who have to fight for their place in this universe in the beginning of their life. How blessed. Why? Well, because whatever you want, the only thing that's separating you from that is your character, your skills, the things you are developing. So if you are able to make a very good situation out of a very bad situation, you have this skill forever. It's something that those people who had a great situation in the beginning will never have, because they've been born into riches, they've been born into success. But you had to grow from nothing. You had to grow from concrete, right? Like, think about a flower growing from concrete versus a flower growing in the garden. Of course, a flower is going to grow on like fertile soil, but when you need to grow a flower from concrete, that's what makes you stronger. That's what makes you invincible. That's what makes you different and special. So, to sum it up, I want to read a tweet that I wrote for you. Harder seasons give you easier seasons. Don't think that your struggle is wasted. You are building your most important asset, an asset no one can take away from you. It appreciates with time, and the returns are infinite. What is it? It's you. Keep building yourself. Even if it has to be brick by brick, it's worth it. And you, in 10 years, will be very grateful for whatever you're doing right now.